Good morning from Locke Street in Hamilton. We are at Beckett Fine Art, and we are here because we are celebrating a huge milestone, a generational milestone, if you will, because Tom, it's not one, not two, but you are now the third generation owner of Beckett Art Gallery.
That's right.
You guys are all so very talented in your own art. I mean, just the 5 minutes that we've been speaking, you've told me so many wonderful things about your grandfather, your brother, your dad, your uncle. I mean, let's start at the very beginning.
Right. Well, this is where it all happened in 1925, the corner of Bold Street and James Street South. These are three different paintings of the same location, of where my grandparents lived, and they had their portrait photography studio on the main floor and did the framing and darkroom work down below in the basement and lived upstairs. That's where my father, Thomas L. Beckett, and my Aunt Sue were born and raised.
Wow, that is incredible. And now we move on to some of the works of art. Well, first, let's take a look. This is your grandfather.
Yeah, so this is
right?
Hubert Beckett, grandfather, and he was a photographer his whole life, and opened up his portrait studio in 1925 until 1967 when he passed. And these are some of his prize-winning photographs. This beautiful piece down below is of the paper boy delivering the Globe and Mail back in 1953. So he was actually delivering the mail and said, "Come on in," and shot him. He just thought that was a magic person to shoot.
It's true. It is. It's a beautiful portrait. And now as we move down the wall, we realize that your grandfather was not only a portrait photographer, but he was a musician and a songwriter.
That's right. Yeah, he sort of had a fork in the road at one point, whether to be a classical pianist and music man or portrait photography, and he made his business portrait photography, but he continued to write music all through the years. And in the World War II, he realized there wasn't any Canadian marching songs for the Canadian military, so he wrote one and had it published, and it was played and got great accolades back in the day.
Okay, so take us over here to the opening. This is the opening of one of the galleries.
Yeah, so my father was a portrait photographer with his dad, Hubert, and then in 1966, my dad had a great love of other art too, paintings and sculpture, and opened up Beckett Gallery in the same location in 1966. And this is Mayor Vic Copps coming to the big grand opening and opening the show. So the gallery, did extremely well, and he introduced Hamilton and Canadians to all kinds of art that they had never seen before.
Okay, well, as Lou continues to span down this wall, we are going to not only focus more on your family history, but we're also going to talk about some of the other artists that you are featuring in your 100th anniversary celebration happening on Saturday. For a couple of hours, everybody's welcome.
Yes, noon to 4, Saturday, September 13th.
All right, wonderful. There's so much more coming up from Beckett Fine Art on Morning Live. We are back here at Beckett Art Gallery celebrating 100 years. I mean, this is a huge milestone for you, Tom. Like, what does it feel like for you?
It is, yeah. It's hard to believe, really. But I have great fond memories of my grandfather, Hubert, and my father and I worked together for 25 years plus. Wow. And I was in the business as a child.
Yeah.
And remember running around that building and going to all the openings, and it became a hobby, and then I just decided one day, let's try this out.
Was it always as comfortable as it is coming in here? Like, there isn't that air of pretentiousness, there isn't that air of, kind of what sometimes you think when you think art gallery,
Yes, I understand that. A lot of people are a little intimidated sometimes to walk into a gallery, but we did make it really comfortable for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's no bad questions, and we just want people to come in and celebrate the art.
Yeah, and beautiful pieces just like this one. Now, I know your dad, because when you own a a gallery, you get to choose what is subjectively lovely to you, and you get to portray and display the art that means something to you. So why do you think your dad chose Robert Bateman?
Yeah, well, he certainly saw the talent in Bateman. And my dad had a great love of nature and conservation, and that was on the same lines as what Robert Bateman's all about. So they hit it off and became very good friends. And in 1971, my dad began to be Bateman's main dealer and was his main dealer for many years, like right into the mid-1990s. And we took shows to Washington, D.C. and Japan, and so it wasn't just here in Hamilton. It was international as well, which
That's
was amazing. So this is a beautiful piece from 1967. That's a view out of Robert Bateman's bedroom window when he lived in North Burlington.
Gorgeous.
But just a gorgeous piece. And then I spoke with Robert with the show coming up and asked him if he'd put some pieces together. So he was kind enough to do these beautiful drawings, 2025 of
Wow.
elk, pear, and wolf, and barred owl. So
he was born in 1930, so that makes him 95 years old.
95, and
he's
still
just
painting and still well, and
just throwing these together for you.
an incredible artist.
It's amazing.
A great treasure.
And then, of course, let's touch quickly on his son, who is also a beautiful artist and has created these pieces for you.
That's right. We started working with Alan in the early 1980s. He lives out in the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia, and a lover of Andrew and Jamie Wyeth's work and in that sort of genre of painting what's happening where he lives. you know,
It's
capturing
beautiful.
those simple scenes, but has an incredible following and style, and we've had great success with his work too.
I believe it. Similar yet so different than his dad. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, well, coming up, we're still going to look at some historic pieces, and of course, we're going to showcase a lot of the indigenous artists that Tom, of course, has in his gallery. So make sure you stay with us. 100th anniversary here at Beckett Fine Art, and we're talking about this beautiful work of art that, Tom, you said you found.
Yeah, I studied art history at Christie's in London, England, and one thing they taught me is to always keep hunting and look and look and look and never sort of stop looking. So I go to all kinds of auctions and shows and look for art in all kinds of strange and wonderful places. And I came across this painting a number of years ago. It's unsigned. I didn't know who did it. But I knew it was very special. I sort of thought it was an N.C. Wyeth painting, an American painter. So I acquired it, and it was under glass and in mint condition. And a few years later, I found an article, newspaper article that was printed in 1923 with that image in it.
Wow.
And it was about the artist and the model, but it ended up, now I could confirm it was a Peter Clapham Shepherd painting from 1913. So this is Thundercloud, who's a famous indigenous model, and he was, had a very storied history as well. As a tracker and helped the Canadian and American Army and the King and
Wow.
all kinds of things. But there is an absolute classic piece that's never been seen before.
Incredible.
And Thundercloud is standing on the prairies, which is where he's from, in front of a teepee with the grain elevators in the back. But this is a classic yellow that he uses, and this big billowing clouds coming up.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable.
And you've got more classical works of art. I mean, you've been known to be showcasing some of the most famous artists.
Yeah, we
Seven,
brought
lots of different treasures.
We've brought Alex Colville to Hamilton. This is a Tom Forstall, who's in that same school of art from Nova Scotia, Egg Tempera. Mary Eastlake. This is a gorgeous piece that's never been seen in the gallery before as well, from 1940, and a young boy playing the harmonica with his Montreal Canadiens scarf on.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, some real treasures that have never been offered before.
And what's that one over there?
And yeah, these three pieces are Frank Panabaker, who's from Ancaster, and a real treasure. This is from right across from where your station used to be.
Oh, right.
Yeah, on Jackson. And it was the IODE headquarters, and the woman who owned it donated the building for their use. So this is a painting Frank Panabaker did in 1967.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can see all of these beautiful works of art up close and personal from 12 to 4 on Saturday, where we're having the gallery opening. Coming up, we're going to be focusing on the Indigenous art, and of course, our good friend Tom Wilson's art is in the gallery. So make sure you stay with us. Lots more coming up on Morning Live. Well, you may recognize this next artist. Of course, he's a good friend of the show, and he's a good friend of Tom. He is quite often having shows in your gallery. And I'd like to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you and your father were one of the first, if not the first gallery to really recognize Indigenous art.
That's right. Yeah, my father, we both had a great love and respect for Indigenous art and artists, and treated their work as any other artist, and really wanted to showcase their work. Many of the galleries, public galleries, were sort of treating it as craft and more historical things. And we treated it as art being made today, and this is what we do.
So you've not only showcased Tom Wilson beautifully many times, but you also have a few other artists.
That's right. Yeah, Tom Wilson is our great Hamilton artist, Indigenous artist, musician. This is Arthur Schilling, a self-portrait from 1976, and I consider him, one of Canada's greatest artists of our time. Indigenous or non-Indigenous. He didn't want to be called an Indian artist or an Indigenous artist. He wanted to be known as a Canadian artist.
Of course.
Wanted to show in the great public galleries. So these are two beautiful pieces
Oh,
here.
it's gorgeous. I always have such great respect for artists that do self-portrait, because there is some deep emotional digging that needs to be done when you focus on that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and he did a lot of self-portraits and caught himself in many moods and ups and downs, and he had quite a storied life.
Yeah, it's really quite phenomenal.
Yeah, from Rama, Ontario.
Now, this last artist, we actually had the opportunity to meet. I believe it was the last time we were here.
That's right, yeah. Young Kyle Jodick, he's does incredible murals all over town, and we've been working with him for about 4 years now. I called him in and said, you're doing these amazing murals, would you consider painting on canvas, and we can do some things? So that was music to his ears. So we have been working together and having great success. And he's just a great up-and-coming, stand-up artist.
Very
lives in
vibrant,
Hamilton as well.
very vocal. It really tells a story, his art, I find.
It does, yeah. He bases all his paintings on an Indian story, an Indigenous story.
You can tell.
And so incorporates that. So he's learning a lot about his Indigenous heritage as well as he moves through this.
Wow.
And then this is a Norvell Morrisseau silkscreen print. So he's been a great inspiration for Kyle, and he was a contemporary of Arthur Schilling.
Wow, it's just beautiful. Well, I mean, congratulations. It's gorgeous in here.
Well, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
it's
our
really
pleasure.
exciting.
Okay, so this Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday from noon to 4, and the show continues until October 4th.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for having us. It's always a treat.
Beautiful that you came. Appreciate it.
You can get more information on our website at chch.com.